Welcome back to another edition of the Course Creation Incubator. I'm Gina Anativia, your host, hopefully motivating you and challenging you and pushing you a little bit to get your course done and to build up your course-based business. Now, my new show obsession, I've got quite a few actually right now, but one of them is Julia. It's a show about Julia Child. It's on HBO right now. It's an absolute darling of a show. What I love about the show, and I'll try not to spoil it too much, is it is about the creation of her iconic TV show. And I had seen movies about Julia Child, like I knew things about her growing up. What I didn't know is the leap of faith that had to happen in order for that show to come to fruition. Like the show was really her baby, according to this reenactment. It was something she really nurtured, and she was this powerful force that brought it into creation. And it got me thinking that I've got a few students and clients who have been taking some risks over the last few weeks in terms of introducing different kinds of programs and really putting themselves out there. And I thought, well, geez, I'm inspired by this show right now, and I'm inspired by my students. Why don't I put an episode out there about how I want you to take a risk, the steps that you can take to put yourself out there and try out a new offer? It may be something that you've been thinking about for a while, that you've been marinating on, and maybe now is just the time. So you've been thinking about taking the risk, and maybe this is the podcast and this is the push that you need. So I'm here to ask, what's an offer you can get out and trial in the next 30 days? Okay? If you could not fail, if the universe said to you, go for it, put yourself out there, get a course, get a workshop, get a group coaching program, whatever it looks like, what would you put out there? While you're thinking about that, let me talk about Dawn Eason a little bit. Now, Dawn has been on the podcast. She is a friend, she is a mentor, she is a client. And what I love about Dawn is her willingness to take risks. She is never sitting by and just letting the business work itself. She's always reinvesting. She's always asking, what's next? What's new? What's on trend? What should we be doing? And this question is constantly going through her head, and she's challenging us to think through what's next. So I want to think more like Dawn. I encourage you to think more like Dawn. What's next? How do I get a little uncomfortable? Dawn's not afraid to get uncomfortable, and she's not afraid to push us. So I'm trying to live in that spirit, and I guess that's what this podcast today is really about. If you were going to push yourself a little bit and put something out there in the next 30 days, what would it look like? Now let's talk through those steps of what it might look like to put out your offer, to take that risk, to take that leap of faith. And step one is to really validate and think through. And now this is going to be a shortened validation. Keep this in mind because we want to get this out in the next 30 days. But I do want you to think through, is this something that people would buy? Now, you might have done your validation already, and we've talked about validation as this part of this podcast to really get a sense of what people want. I was just talking to a client today about that. They were potentially building out this bigger membership area, and we were talking about the different tiers. Now, this is what the fun part. This is some of the fun of putting together a membership site or a course or a different program is the possibilities, right? Of all the things that you can create. So I was talking to this potential client about different tiers because they could create something that's more $10, $12, $15,000 a year. So it's more of a premium course or membership site. Or they could put out something that's more like $1,000 a year, that's more affordable, that's more, that they can really expand their reach. So these are different kinds of offers. And I said to them, well, what's the appetite here? Do people want that bigger offer? Or is it better for you to put out a lower price point? Like, what do people want? And I told them, you need to validate that. You need to go to your list. You need to survey them. You need to do some phone calls and really think through, what do people want to pay for? So it's great to say, I have people who are interested specifically in this. That's one of the first questions I always ask people when they say, hey, I want to put out this program or I want to put out this membership site. Well, what are people asking for? Are they asking you for this specifically? Because what tends to happen is if people aren't asking for that specific thing or saying like, I'm going to put my credit card down, it sometimes doesn't sell. So that's why I want you to validate. So maybe part of this 30-day offer is that you've already validated, you've already have people asking for it, and that's a great point of validation as well. So I want you to do some research. If you haven't already, do some quick research because we're going to get this up in 30 days. And think through, do people really want this? Then the second step is to collaborate. Because when you're first starting out and trying out an offer for the first time, it's great to have a partner and someone you could share their audience with. It's great to have a collaborator. You could say to somebody, hey, I'm thinking about trying this out. Would you be open to sharing this with your audience? We're talking about this right now with the accelerator in terms of who can you partner with? Who can you say, hey, I've got a value add here. I've got something special that I can share with your audience. What do you think about me coming into your group or sending an email on my behalf? Or maybe we do a special training, right? And that can then lead to your offer that you're putting up in 30 days. Really reaching out and using someone else's audience is a great way to test out an offer and get it out there. And remember, you don't need somebody who has like millions of people or thousands of people. You just need somebody who has a captive audience of 100 people or hundreds of people. Remember that we're starting with 5, 7, 10 people. We're not looking for the first $1 million launch. We're testing an offer. We're trialing something. So really think through, who can you collaborate with? So step 2, who can you collaborate with to test out this offer? And then we quickly roll into step 3, where you're going to test the waters. So part of this 30-day offer, part of this leap of faith is testing the offers and seeing what sticks. So by the way, when you're putting out this offer, you're not going to set up everything in the back end. You're not going to actually set up the delivery of the course or the program. Now, you might be thinking, I'm nuts right now, but you're testing your offer out. It's new. You're taking a risk. You're putting yourself out there. You're going to mitigate the risk a little bit by actually not fulfilling quite yet. You're going to see if there's traction. You're going to see if people really want it. Okay? And then once we know, as part of step 4, we'll figure out the delivery. So as part of step 3, you're going to see what kind of response you get. I actually had another client who put out an offer that didn't go as well. This was last month. We decided to pivot and fulfill with another program. So I'm telling you right now, you might want to keep your options open. You're either going to move forward with this test offer as planned, or you might pivot. You might say, things didn't go as planned, and that's okay. I'm going to fulfill with this instead. So I've had to do that before, where I was going to put out an offer for a live program. I was going to put out this group coaching offer. I pivoted because I realized that's not what people really wanted. And I transformed it into this one-on-one coaching program that I did. And that's okay. I was prepared with that. I was ready to pivot. I was ready to adapt. So then as part of step 4, you're going to fulfill. So you might not fulfill, just to recap, you might not fulfill that offer as you planned, exactly as you planned. You might change it up a little bit. Bonuses might fall off, for example, or you might add another custom component to it, or you might add different access points to you. That's okay. Part of taking a risk is really figuring things out on the fly and finding out what people want and then adjusting. Now, this might sound scary to you to actually change up an offer, but as you continue your course creation journey, you're going to get more comfortable and you'll get to know your clients and your students even better, and you'll be able to adjust and pivot on the fly like this. Then as a 5th and final step, you're going to debrief and talk about what went great and what didn't go so great. You're going to learn from this, and you're going to ask yourself, what kind of offer do I want to put out for the future? Does it look the same? Like, I've had course creators who built out signature courses and then decided, you know what? People didn't want my $497, $997 course. They really wanted a $47 workshop. So maybe you put out the offer and then they realize, oh, this is what people want, but you couldn't have done that without taking a risk. So I want you to take this leap of faith. I want you to think about an offer that you can make in the next 30 days. And by the way, these students and these clients that inspired this episode, their offers came together very quickly in 3, 4, 5 weeks. So it is possible. And what we ended up doing was we put the offer out there. So we created a package. One of them created a sales page. The other just created a simple PDF. And then we put it out there to see, what do people really want, and get a response. And one went really well, and the other one we had to pivot. So don't be afraid to just put something together, and put it out there and see what you're going to build on success for. So the one that we knew people want more of, we're going to build on success. We realized, oh, people like this aspect of it. Oh, people really responded to this bonus. We're going to put that forward more as we build out a sales page. We're really going to emphasize that. We're going to emphasize that in our email marketing. We didn't even build our emails. We haven't built out all these different marketing pieces, but now we will, because we're going to build on success. So that's what you're going to do as part of step 5. You're going to figure out, okay, where am I going to go from here? What am I going to build on? Hopefully this episode has inspired you to put something out there, to take a risk. And maybe Julia Child will inspire you if you want to check out that show on HBO. I do feel that history can inspire us, that we can have these mentors that come through the screen or through books, and they don't even know us, but they're spurring us to take action. So every time I watch this show, I'm inspired. I hope you're feeding your mind with shows or books or podcasts that are inspiring you to take action. All right, well, I'll see you next week. Please make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss one single episode. If you're getting something out of this podcast, I would be very honored if you would leave me a review. And until next week, go create, be you and be brilliant, and get it done.